In a way, it's been good experience for our younger defenders to get used to life without Matty Scarlett. We're not looking forward to it, but it's going to happen at some stage.
He said last week that he felt he let himself down by what happened in Perth. Do you feel that?
Oh, of course. I mean, that's obvious. That's plain for everyone to see. We'd be in denial if we didn't think that. And we're pretty confident we know what we're going to get from him for the rest of the season.
Does he therefore have a responsibility to, as he said too, to make it up to the team and maybe perform beyond what he
Yeah, I think so. But if he can perform above and beyond his previous high standard, then we'll all be elated.
The Lions are actually going okay, so you're not going to have everything your own way. They're mighty mates, eh?
No, they were good on the weekend. They're certainly getting a lot of the ball. Even the first half against Carlton, I thought was a really high pressure game. It broke open after half time, but it tells me, and I said it in the post game on the weekend, the sides sort of from about 4th or 5th down to 15th are pretty good. The standards definitely improved, and the AFL would be ecstatic at the evenness of the competition at the moment.
Simon Black's 300. What do you think that'll mean to the boys up there?
Oh, it'll mean a bit. Yeah, he's been an absolute champion of the game, one of the greats of the club. We've got a few people here that are close to him, myself included. We're all very happy for him, quite proud of him in a way. But in the end, hopefully, it doesn't change our players' approach to the contest and the contests that he's involved in. Even though we have a high respect for him, we've got to make sure that we're pretty ruthless in the contest.
Among the players you played with, where would you rate?
I think he'd be in the top 3 or 4 at Brisbane. I think that's pretty safe to say. But I haven't put a lot of thought into it. I said Joel Selwell was the toughest player I've ever seen a couple of weeks ago, and without really thinking about it. So I shouldn't make too many more big statements without putting some thought in.
His durability is pretty amazing. I just one more, like his durability's been a credit to him, hasn't it?
Yeah,
He's got the throw.
yeah, and I've been fortunate to see how he prepares himself firsthand, so that it's no coincidence. It's more hard work rather than a natural resilience.
Obviously too specific. Is it disappointing when you see incidents from the older players like Stevie J, like Matthew Scarlett, continuing to happen? Do you have to have a word with the older players to say this is just unacceptable? Oh, well,
we've had those words. Certainly not to Steve in this situation. That the two really can't be compared. As I said, there's really clear vision of the Stevie J one. And there was clear vision of the Scarlett one as well, and we were pretty quick to make a judgment on that one, less so with Steve. Our discipline's something that's important, and it's been a little bit off. I think a few areas of our game are just a little bit off. We're not going terribly. You know, we're in a scrap with, you know, all the teams, and I reckon there are probably about 10 or 12 of them in the middle of the ladder at the moment.
Was he James Kelly last week?
Yeah, he hasn't been ruled out yet, but he's not a certainty either. So we would like to think we were proactive with that one. It's not a serious injury. But it does have the potential to drag on and develop into something more significant. So we're certainly safety first on that one. It might mean that he misses an extra week. If he does, we wouldn't expect it to be any longer than that.
Well, Joe played in the VFL last week. Is that the same again this week?
Yeah, we think so. He was pretty dynamic. He only played 50%. His output was fantastic, so it's a credit to our conditioning staff and our medical staff to have him in such good shape. But on the back of a really interrupted pre-season, the probability is that he'll have another one in the VFL, and if he plays at a similar level to the way he did on Friday night, then we'd look to bring him back for Melbourne.
And Travis Barker,
yeah, close. We'd like to think he'd be playing VFL footy within a fortnight. You know, don't hold me to it, but it's around about that time frame.
And just Dawson Simpson saw him walking around in the rooms. Is he still quite way off or not?
No, he's looking better. We, what are we now, coming into round 5? We think he's probably more like 3 weeks away from playing, and again has been quite interrupted, so it's going to be a bit of a slow build for Dawes. So, I mean, when we see him back playing VFL footy, don't expect him to be in the AFL the next week, but we've been cautious with it. We're going to take our time. We think he's an important part of the makeup of our list. We'd love to have him out there now, but when he does get out and play AFL footy, everyone can rest assured that he's been well prepared.
The ruck set up last week, was that based mainly on
A little bit, yeah. They only played the one traditional ruckman, and Marich shoulders virtually all that workload, so we thought that could work for us. We're conscious of, even though Oren's an older player, we're conscious of managing his workload as well. He's a bit crook a few weeks ago. He's had a few sort of little interruptions that we put down to just adjusting to an AFL lifestyle. But we expect he's going to have to do a fair bit of work through the first half, sort of first 3 quarters of the season. So there are a number of factors that went into that decision. But yeah, we think he's a very good chance to come back and play this week.
Yes, he must have been wrapped by his effort. Seems second best in the move.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, he's good. I've said a few times, we know exactly what we're going to get from him. We value his work in the contest, and our players enjoy playing with him, which is something that I take note of. I think that if we turn a few little things around, it can add up to something quite significant. Someone mentioned to me after the game that things like premiership hangovers and home ground advantage are the factors, and we understand that some of the analysts and supporters like to think they're issues. Internally, we don't think so. But if they relate to attitude and effort, then we've got to be really vigilant to make sure that that's not a contributing factor. I've said a few times I've never had cause to believe that Geelong players don't give maximal effort, and we certainly saw that in the last 15 minutes. What we need to analyse is, were we a little bit different in the second quarter or the third quarter as opposed to the last 15 minutes of the game?
You asked last week about North Melbourne, why they played against you. They used to be a handball.
Yeah.
Did the same last week. You don't think that's what teams are doing against you?
Might just be that we're coming up against those teams. Might be that it's a specific tactic against us. We're not ruling anything out. We certainly noticed that Brisbane possessed the ball a lot last week. Most disposals for the round. But they're also marking the ball as well as handballing a lot too. So, I hope, because we prioritise defence, not above everything, but almost, that it's not a matter of the opposition looking at us and seeing a way to exploit us. But again, we haven't ruled it out. So if it is, we'll make sure we tighten those things up.
Was there something you were sort of conscious of last week when you expected the boys, have breaks or?
Yeah, and we thought it was really good for the first half, and pretty average in the third quarter. So it's a work in progress to an extent. We're on the record as saying that we never anticipated playing our absolute best footy in round 4, but the risk with that is that if you're a little bit off your best, virtually anyone these days can beat you because the competition's so even. The opposition's still winning the ball too often against us, relative to us, and they're still being able to use the ball better than we are away from the congestion as well. So, I'm saying here we're not near our best, but we need to fix it up quickly.